what they say about the rose out the concrete, flowers blooming in dark rooms, proof of when God speaks. What a passion and grind me. Call it perfect timing or alignment. The assignment provide peace. Confirmation through conversation. My knees been blooded, been praying for patience. Embracing these affirmations, we made it. Hard times, but we made it. Been shaking the devil off under pressure, we never faded. We the living proof of the promise, being honest. We cut from a different cloth. Black excellence satisfying us, we the living proof. I don't deserve it, far from perfect. A product of taking chances and leaning on his discernment. We the living proof. Living legends, it's a blessing to be a blessing. Providing the youth for the new perspective. We the living proof. The living proof, y'all.
Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Living Proof. And we have a very special guest with us today, and it's definitely a blessing to be in your presence. Let's welcome Miss Symphony Thompson. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm blessed. Cannot complain at all.
Absolutely.
We here.
Man, and thank you for having me here.
Most definitely.
I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Most definitely. When I had this whole idea in my mind, there was no doubt, you know what I'm saying, hit up Symphony Thompson, a young sister who's doing her thing, not only in the community but the entertainment industry. So it definitely was a no-brainer. And she definitely has been a huge advocate and supporter for YBA. YBA the way, you already know. She's been our host for the past 2 years, and so it's definitely an honor to sit down with you today. And as you know, we've been focused on this topic of healing. And so we're gonna jump right in. But before we get to the questions, Symphony Thompson, the entertainer, what do you do? Like, what's your occupation? And your everyday.
Just a little bit. So that's probably one of the hardest questions, just because I feel like I dab, like with the entertainment business, like you can easily dab into everything. So anywhere from modeling, hosting, emceeing, radio host, media personality, actress, video, I don't even want to say video vixen, but video up in there when it's light
we
and,
know
and
what
loving.
You do.
You know
yes,
what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
Just anything that entertains people.
So definitely the jack of all trades.
I say the Jill of all trades.
The Jill or the simple of all trades. You know
what I'm saying?
So most definitely, that's awesome. And so we definitely can jump in, and we already got who Symphony Thompson, the brand, is. But my next question is just beyond all the accolades, all, you know, the outside entertainment. Who is Symphony?
Loaded question. If I had to sum it all up, I think Symphony, when I think of myself, I think of like a corny, loving, caring, crazy, multiple personality, fun, but really just caring about, you know, my community. But I would sum it up, you know, all of that is I'm a woman of God.
Okay.
Which is definitely the most important to me. So my dad named me after a Marvin Gaye song.
Okay.
So that's where Symphony came from. But for me, it's like I'm God's orchestra. So he's using me as his tool to be down here like, you know, I'm going to whip that up. What else you need, God? Okay, we're going to go with that number today.
Truly be in the hands and feet.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Even before we jump into the next question, I think you summed it up as a woman of God.
Absolutely.
What does that mean to you, and what does that look like in the life of Symphony?
It means everything to me. Every decision that I make goes through him first. I always say, you know, everything that I do, if it's not for God, if I can't do something, I'm like, yeah, God definitely led me there.
Most definitely.
I'm gonna be like, oh, yep, swerve on that opportunity. You know, it looks good, and it's really easy in the entertainment business to fall into places where God, there's no light, you know, shine. So I'm okay with being in those rooms, but as far as the actions and things that I do, like God gotta lead me there, otherwise it's just not a thing.
All right, since we're being real, I guess another question did come to my head, like in between that temptation point, because I know you hear things about the entertainment industry, and I'm sure some of it's probably true. But how has it been in your mind? Like, should I settle? You know what I'm saying? Should I, you know, back down, or has it always just been, you know, that strong Symphony? I'm a lean towards God and follow that way.
Honestly, it hasn't really been. It was never like a battle for me. Which some people it is, because don't get me wrong, I've been offered, you know, things that look good, like the money, but it's just like when I think about my future and when I'm gone, like what legacy am I leaving? And right now I feel like, especially in our era, the internet is so strong, like, and it never dies. You can put something on the internet if you want to. It's gonna come back. It's gonna come back. So when you see people pulling up tweets from 17, 15 years ago. It's just like, I know at the end of the day, when I leave, I don't want to leave something that my kids are going to look at and be disappointed. Like, did my mama really, like, what was my mama really about? So it's never really been a question for me, but not to say that it's not tempting for some people. Yeah. But for me, I'd just be like, yeah, that look good, but everything that look good ain't good.
Everything that glitters ain't gold.
Okay,
that's what they say.
I'm good on that. Thank you, though.
Also, and this whole pod is dealing with the sense of healing. And how do you define a healer, and do you consider yourself a healer?
So I would define a healer as someone who has the ability to alleviate someone's pain or something that they're going through. In which I feel like you have different types of healers.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
On a base level. So, growing up in the church and things like that. I feel like TV kind of makes it seem like I can put my hands on you and heal.
Ooh, I'm glad you brought that up. We're gonna talk about that.
I can heal all things. And most of those, when you see those on TV, it's probably not real, especially if it's money. Most of those are money scams, as we know. But I'm not gonna sit here and say that I don't believe that God has the ability to use someone to heal, heal pain. But I feel like that truly has to be on some like, me and God, we woke up, we sit side by side. But on just a base level, I think you can be a healer very simply. So for me, I do consider myself a simple healer. If I had to, have levels, I'm a simple healer. So, just talking to people and being put in position to change people's day or, being able to relate to them, because some of the things that I've been through, they can relate to. One of my favorite verses in Revelation says that they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. So for me, it's just like, my testimony has the ability to help someone who's been through something, or help someone that's going through something, and say, hey, I've been where you are. I don't have sympathy for you, but this is empathy that I'm giving you. So I would say I'm a simple healer, but I feel like, God can come through and, if he want to level me up.
And I think you're playing yourself a little bit, because the energy you give off is healing in itself. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing simple about Symphony.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And so I'm glad you brought up the aspect about the church, because I was having this conversation in my mind the other day when we talk about healing. And it's like when you're growing up in the church, especially the black church, it's lay hands, it's physical. But nobody ever dealt with what's inside, that emotional healing. Absolutely. It was just always, healing cancer, healing something broken. You know what I'm saying? It was never
diseases that are like your mainstream.
It was never nothing like your mental health.
Exactly.
And I don't think mental health, I know coming up, and not even faulting the church, but that never was a discussion, brought up in church. When we came down for prayer line, it was for something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But not something we're dealing with emotional. And I guess my next step, you talked about overcoming, by the word of your testimony. Do you believe the obstacles that you had in your life had purpose?
Absolutely. I feel like I know it made me who I am today. Definitely was hard in the moment. Like in the moment, like, don't get me wrong. And I feel like sometimes people have this thought of like, oh, I can't question God. I think there's a level of like, 'cause sometimes like I do like hold
What's
up,
bro?
Like, God, now you said you haven't, but like when I finish that, it's like, but I trust you. Like, as long as you can end those things with letting him know, like, I trust you. It's okay to question him, because he makes it very clear, like, our understanding is not his understanding.
It's not his.
So looking back on my life now, in the moment, I probably would have been like, yeah, man, it's this person's fault and that person's fault, and blaming Bill, Bob, and Sarah.
Everybody.
Right. But looking back, it's like those things made me who I am, and has given me the ability to continue to grow into the woman of God that I feel that God is creating me to be.
Most definitely.
So, definitely got, and if it ain't got perfect God, what's up?
What's up? What's the reason?
What's
and I think that's the whole essence of this pod. Just like, no matter what you've been through, you know what I'm saying, and what you're currently going through, one, you're still here to tell the story.
Absolutely.
You're living proof. And so my next question would be, what are some things you might have blocked out from your past that now you have to face and you have to deal with?
Let's take a breath. How real can we be? How real
proof.
Do we want to be?
I want to be 100% transparent. That's the only, like, being vulnerable.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And the way true healing takes place.
It's something that I don't mind. I would say probably one of the things that I blocked out, I am currently now in the process of healing from. So it's beautiful that we're even here. It's being molested by men that I really trusted in.
Wow.
And not even just that, because like it came to a point where I was able to forgive them. Like if I was to tell everybody, you know, who these people were, they'd be like, what? Like you did what? But I think the thing that I blocked was pretending that it didn't happen so that I didn't have to tell my loved ones in fear of like, okay, are they going to believe me? Are they going to, you know, take him over me? Like what's going to be the situation? So for a while, like I blocked all of those emotions, not exactly, you know, blocking that it put in my mind that it didn't happen. Like I knew it happened, but every emotion that it made me feel or everything that came after, I kind of blocked that so I could, you know, pretend like, you know, everything's good. So my family's good. My friends are good. Nobody has to get hurt. But in that time, I'm hurting myself. It's like, you're damaging yourself, girl. Like, you know, you're trying to take care of all these people, but what are you doing for
yourself?
So I would say that's the main thing that I've blocked out more than anything. But now I'm just coming to a point where it's just like, no, I gotta heal me from within, because it's damaging, and you know, once you're damaged inside, that comes out in some form.
You can only give what you're full of.
Exactly.
In essence. And I guess my next follow-up question to that, because you never know who may be watching or may be listening, what were some things you would tell young Simp, like knowing what you know now about the whole process of healing, and being vulnerable? Like, what would you tell your younger self going through that?
Don't be afraid. I think fear can really hold us back from a lot of things. Fear can really put us in positions that we don't deserve to be in. So don't be afraid to speak up. And this is for anybody that's going through it, has been through it. It's always, I feel like with women, we have a fear of like, oh, we're not going to, and men too, men go through it as well. But of course, I can only speak for a woman. You know, nobody's going to believe you. There are people that will believe you, and you may lose loved ones. Trust me, I did. But there was so much healing when I finally spoke out about it. Like there was so much like confessing the truth and not having to live with that by myself, because there were people that, you know, brought me in and loved on me. And it was just like, okay, gosh, like this actually, it's like a weight off your shoulder, like a completely elephant, like that was just like off my chest. So I would tell myself, like, don't have that fear, push through that. Like, you're gonna get through. Right now it sucks. It's not a good situation. I don't feel like any kid or anybody should ever go through that. But if you do, like, keep pushing. Like, don't stay stuck in that, because it's just gonna create more problems for you to have to fight than the actual battle that you already went through. So
most definitely, and following up on that, and it probably goes hand in hand, but if not, what areas in your life do you feel like you still need healing in?
I would say relationships. So following, and people handle abuse differently. So people have been molested, being raped, you know, things like that. They handle it different. Some people, you know, they start being more sexually active, or some people just trying to find love in all the wrong places. And for me, it was, I just kept getting in relationships after relationship after relationship. And I mean, like, I was in some, like, I probably dated every kind of person. Yeah, I dated a aspiring stripper, or no, he wanted to be some other thing. We ain't gonna go into that. But I would say from relationships, because like as you're going from relationship to relationship and trying to find love in all the wrong places and being hurt after being hurt, it changed my views on what a relationship is. So for me, it's this, I have this unrealistic thought of, you know, what a relationship should be like. And I can't say for a while that I experienced true love from a relationship. Because it would be, you know, I'm dating a guy and then he cheats, and then it's like, instead of me taking the time to heal from that, on top of, you know, what I grew up from the men that I trusted, it's like, okay, I'm gonna leave this and get to another relationship, get to that one. That one's hurt, pain, he cheat, and then it's the same thing over and over. So now it's just like, I've been in relationships like, who? What time? When you think about hurting me? Because I know it's coming. Just let me know if you're gonna do it in the beginning or the end. So just really taking time to step back from relationships, make sure my relationship with God and myself is good before any other. Absolutely. So definitely. Before any other man step into this life. I
got you, and that's awesome. Definitely awesome to hear. I'm sure somebody else needed to hear that as well. And another thing, I guess, that Living Proof was birthed out of was my own personal state of depression. And it really hit during the whole start of the quarantine. I realized how addicted I was to a routine, when you're at home by yourself with nothing to do. I might have been going crazy. I was really emotional. Like I don't know what was going on. It was definitely heavy. It was dark because I felt like I give myself, and like being in my classroom, that was my zone. You know what I'm saying? That's where I got filled back up at. And so when you away from, I'm a people person as well. I need your energy. I need presence, your physical touch. That's part of my love language as well, physical touch. But Symphony, you give so much of yourself daily, you know what I'm saying, in your profession. Where do you go to heal, you know what I'm saying, and to get rejuvenated back up? Absolutely.
So before I answer that, I do want to touch on the depression part to say, like, you're definitely not the only one. And I just want to make sure we're touching an agreement there. I've definitely fallen into depression a couple times. So it's really easy for me to identify. And I think, like, our culture has this thought of, like, ooh, no, I'm not depressed. Like, we kind of just back away from it. But, like, it's okay not to be okay. Like, I've learned this from a church, I think, in Myrtle Beach. It's okay not to be okay. It's just not okay to stay that way.
Stay that way.
So, when you're going through something, it's okay to admit, like, hey, I'm depressed. I'm going through things. Just, you have to first admit that and then do something about it. So I just wanted to make sure I said that, because in the beginning of quarantine, oh my God,
I'm telling you.
I was like, hold up, wait a minute. But so I don't have a physical place to go to heal. If I did, it would be definitely like in some woods next to running water in a hammock, just because I love nature. But just like you, in the beginning of quarantine, like, I was kind of depressed. And for me, depression, when I get into that moment, it takes me back, because once when I was going through molesting and things, I tried to overdose and tried to cut myself and all these type of things. So it's like, as soon as I get there, I'm like, hold on, like, let me do something.
Yeah, get that right.
Same thing with me. Like, I need a routine. If I'm not, especially if I'm not interacting with people, I need some type of structure in my life.
Yes.
So my place of healing is, like I said, it's not a physical place, but it's within my routine. So when I wake up in the morning, I try to do some type of physical, mental, and spiritual stimulation. First, I do physical to really tire myself out, because my mind, as you know, creatives, like, our mind is going about, like, it's just like always like thoughts. And even if it's not even ideas, it's still like, okay, well, how can I make this better? All these type of things. So I'll do something physical to really tire myself out. And then for my mental and spiritual stimulation, I started doing yoga while listening to a sermon. So yoga is like the only time I can ever, like, stop thinking. And typically I listen to, like, some people listen to meditation music, but that puts me to sleep. So typically I listen to music, but I replaced it with sermons. And for me, that's just like my time with God to really, like, okay, hey, I'm here, I'm listening to your word. And then after that word, I sit still and just allow God to speak to me. Sometimes he doesn't say anything, sometimes he does. But as a teacher, when we're taking a test, sometimes you got to be quiet. And I feel like that's something that we hear all the time, and it's true. So for me, my place of healing is just really connecting with God. And it may sound cliche, but that's what it is for me. Like, I know without him, when I'm not connected to him, my life be on some crazy stuff. I'm like, no, wait, where did that come from?
I always heard a quote. It said, you can't expect to have power if you're not connected to the source.
Oh, say that. I love that.
Yeah, so I definitely been on that as well. Wow, Symphony, you preaching now. You preaching. You preaching.
That's all.
So my next question would be just how are you using your story, things you've been through, to navigate through life currently in this present moment?
Just when I have opportunities like this, being transparent, being vulnerable. I have people that reach out to me all the time, and it's like I mentioned earlier, internet is crazy, especially social media. Like, you look on social media and things like look all good, and it's like, oh my gosh, she's living the perfect life and everything is great. She's meeting this person, that person. But even in those moments, like, I like to show myself with no makeup, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, showing like I am still a human being. I still face these things. And when I have the opportunity to really speak to people, whether it's, through social media or in person, when I'm seeing somebody go through something, really using my story to show, like, hey, I've been where you are, or, I've been here and I made it here, you can do it too. So just really using my story to, when I'm put in places, especially in the entertainment business, because sometimes, I feel like the entertainment business has like a bad rap because of what the media kind of portrays. But when I'm in certain rooms, like, making sure, like, before I leave, I need to make sure I'm, sliding in real quick to tell them, a little bit about my God. So yeah, just really using my platform anywhere I am. Like, I don't care if I'm at an award show to a baby girl birthday party. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's always an opportunity to, and it doesn't have to be forceful. It's not like, hey, I've been through this, because, you know, sometimes that can be depressing for people. But really just making sure I'm being aware and really being in the moment to take in those things. And if I see an opportunity to share my story, like, I'm the first to be like, baby, here it is. You know what I'm saying?
And I think once you get to that point, you just realize the freedom, and like you said, because I realized that mask is so heavy. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to wear it. You know what I'm saying?
My head is big enough. God, you know, I feel like he poured. Like when he made me, he was like, yeah, let me.
Extra head.
He made my head big up here. You know what I'm saying?
Mine up here. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we had to adjust the camera. You know what I'm saying? just to fit the forehead.
That's all right.
But it's just amazing you said that, because I always picture, you know, not saying that we're definitely not perfect, but we definitely reach a sense of status in our lives. And I kind of look at it being on top of a mountain, but at the same time, you got to go back and help people up.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
we can't. It's cool to be on top, but at the same time, like, that's not where people need help.
No, and we're all like, I never want to be untouchable. You like, and there's certain celebrities that, like, I just wouldn't want that life. Like, Beyonce and Jay, you know, people love them, and, you know, they're great at what they do, but I can never be in that position, because to not be able to, like, go somewhere and physically, like, touch somebody, or, you know, and I understand, like, you have to have precautions and all these things, but it's just like, I'm good. Like, I gotta connect, you know, be able, and not to say that they don't come back and help their people, but for them, you know, it's a little more tough just because of the status that they have. But for me, it's just, I need to be able to like, I need to be here. Like, we gotta be right.
I need it. I need it.
So, and I feel like that's, you know, that's what God put us here for. Like, we weren't created to do life alone. Like, it's not. So I couldn't imagine being in a place where it's just like, you can't do that because of who you are. Because at that point, I'm just like, nah, God, you ready to take me? Like, is my job done? Like, what's up? Where I'm about to go? What's up? But yeah, I definitely need it. Definitely necessity.
Yes. Man, it has been an absolute honor and a pleasure to talk to you. And I always love to give the opportunity for last words at the end. Because, you know, even though when you leave here, it's going to be something, I should have said this, or I wish I would have said that. But just in this moment, is there any, like, last things, final things you want to say that's on your heart?
I think I'll leave with two things. The first, I think, are something that you mentioned earlier about our community not really talking about, like, mental health and things like that. We have this, you know, if it happens in the house, it stays in the house. Like, I grew up on that, and it's just like, no, because some things need to be talked about that's going on in the house. Something that I read or heard or something, untold frustrations turns bridges, I forgot it now. Untold frustrations basically turns bridges into mountains. So basically, like, it's blocking. Forgot what exactly it said, but it's basically saying, you know, those untold things kind of block off your heart. Like, it's really easy to disconnect. And I'm big, if you ask anybody, like, I'm big on connecting. Like, this is my thing, connect yourself. So some of the things that you may be going through, like, it's not okay in the moment, and, you know, I definitely understand, but it's okay to reach out for help, because the longer that you hold those things in, the more hardened your heart is going to become, and it's going to be hard for anything to penetrate that. And I really think a hardened heart is probably one of the toughest things to deal with. And definitely, you know, making sure you're getting help with those things. And then also, FWW, that's something that I'm riding with. Faith with works. You know, we always hear about, you know, in the Bible, you know, faith without works is dead. So show me what faith with works look like, because that's what I'm doing. So, you know, FWW,
that's the challenge.
That is the challenge. Hey. You know, we always, you know,
amazing.
And the Bible makes it very clear, it's dead. So be alive, you know, live with faith, and let me see what it's looking like. And I guarantee things will shift. Guarantee things will completely shift.
Try it.
Yeah,
try it.
Give it a try.
The least you can do.
I promise.
The least you can do.
Just put your toe, the big toe in the water, and you'll be all right.
Test it out.
You'll be living proof.
Taste and see.
Living
Taste
proof.
and see.
See what I did? Living proof.
Oh, plug.
You know, he can't.
But most definitely, how can people reach out, follow you, social media, all that good stuff?
Absolutely. So I keep it really simple on all platforms, Symphony Thompson, or you can find me on my website, www.symphonythompson.com. Symphony is spelled just like the orchestra. No C's, no extra P's, no Q's, none of that. Real simple.
And God's orchestra.
Absolutely.
Let them use you.
God out here orchestrate some things.
We are signed off. Thank you again for joining in with another episode of Living Proof, where your purpose is within your story. We out.
Love y'all.
Yeah.